Hello, everybody, how are you? Hello, everybody, how are you? It is time to start our day. It is time to work and play. Hello, everybody, how are you? How are you guys? It's a brand new week and we're back together again. I hope that you had a great weekend and I'm so glad you're back. We're going to learn some things, do some fun activities together this week, and sing some songs and do all kinds of fun things. So, to start us off this week, we are going to talk about all of these things behind me here. We're going to have a morning circle time together. Circle time is something you do at preschool. When you get together, you talk about different things and you all sit together. Well, we're kind of all sitting together today, aren't we? You guys are sitting at your computers and you're listening to me, and I'm sitting at mine and I'm talking with you guys. So let's start by talking about some things that we have talked about before. There's some familiar stuff up here. A while back, we talked about that color. Anybody remember what that is? That is called red, R-E-D, and it's the same color on my shirt. After we talked about the color red, we learned about the certain shape called a circle. Look at the circle. It goes around and around and around and around. There's no corners. There's no sides. It just keeps going around. There's nothing to stop us from going around and around and around. Up here is our circle shape and the word circle. When we learned about the circle shape, we also learned some numbers. We learned about the numbers 0, 1, and 2. Well, let's talk about those again. First of all, if you remember, numbers are something that we count with, and they tell us how many. So let me ask you a question. Look in my hands and tell me, how many apples am I holding right now? Do you see any apples in my hand? Not right now. Right now I have 0 apples in my hand. But wait a second, I do. Look at this. How many apples do I have now? I have 1 juicy red apple. I started with 0. I grabbed 1 and then I had 1. What if I grab another one? If I add 1 to it, I will have 2. 1, 2 red apples. So I started with 0. I added 1 and had 1. I added another and had 2. What if I take them away? I start with 2. I'm going to take 1 away. How many do I have now? I have 1. If I have 1 and I take 1 away, I have 0 apples. I'm back to 0. All right, last week we started talking about letters together. The first letter that we talked about was the first letter of our alphabet, and that was the letter A. And we looked at some A words together. And we also learned how to make an A with our hand for people whose ears don't hear. To make an A with your hand, you put your first 4 fingers, these guys down, and then your thumb went alongside. That was the letter A in sign language. Well, it's a new week. It's time to talk about a new letter. Can you guess what letter we're talking about today? Do you see it anywhere around here? Any clues? You see my button? That's the letter B. You see an uppercase and a lowercase b next to me here. And then you see the uppercase and the lowercase b there. Any ideas what that's a picture of next on top of the b's there? That is a ball, because ball starts with the letter B. Can you say b, 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 ball, button? Those are B words, and b is the sound that B makes. All right, let's see. If we're going to talk about the letter B, then we need to know how to make it in sign language as well. So back to our hand. Last time we took these 4 fingers and we put them down. This time the 4 fingers are going to stay up and our thumb is going to come across like that. That is the letter B in sign language. We have A, B. By the time we're done, you guys are going to know all the sign language letters. That'll be so cool. Last week I brought you some pictures of A words. Today I brought some actual B words that I would like to show you, and we're going to write down and look at together. First of all, like I said, I have a B button. Button starts with the letter B. Now, button is not an important name. It's not a real important word. It's just a word. So I'm going to use a lowercase b, when I'm writing my word button. Straight line down, and it gets a belly. Belly starts with B. B, U, T, T, O, N. That spells button. Now, let me see what else I might have that starts with the letter B. B. I have what I call a double B. You ready for this? That means that it's 2 B words in one object. I have one object here, a bag, but what color is it? It's blue. My bag is blue. So I'm going to write down blue, B-L-U-E, bag, B-A-G. A double B. Each word started with the letter B. I have more. I have more than a double. You ready? What's inside my bag? You ready to see this? I like this guy. This is my bumblebee ball. How about that? A triple B. Bumblebee ball. That's a lot of letters to write. Let's write them together. You ready? Bumble is B-U-M-B. Oh, another B in the middle of the word. L-E. B for the insect is B-E-E. Bumble, B. And then ball, B-A-L-L. We are going to, let's see, there we go. Bumble, bee, ball. I had a triple. Maybe you guys can go find something in your house later that starts with the letter B. Maybe you can beat my triple. Maybe you can find one object that has 4 B's, 5 B's, 6 B's. See how many B's you can come up with in one object. I like my bumblebee ball, though. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, if you have a piece of paper, or even just a finger, we're going to practice writing the letter B together. Remember how we have an uppercase and a lowercase. And the uppercase is for important words like, let's think of some names. There's the name Becky, Barb, Bartholomew. Does anybody know anybody by that name? If you were writing the name Becky, you would start with an uppercase B, a line down. And then notice how it has 2 little bellies. It's got a top belly that comes to the middle, and it's got a bottom belly that starts in the middle and goes down. The lowercase b is very close to that. It's just missing the top belly. So we start at the top again and make our line down. Now we're going to go back to the middle and just give them a little belly at the bottom. Remember, belly is a B word, and it goes with the letter B. Now, if you didn't have something to write with, let's just put your fingers in the air and try it. Ready? Take it straight down, go back to the top, make a top belly that comes to the middle, and a bottom belly that comes to the bottom. That was our uppercase. Now let's try a lowercase with our finger. Put it back up to the top, straight down. Now this time we go just up to the middle, come back and give them a little belly. That is how you draw the letter B. Very good. Okay, let's look back here. We've talked about almost everything. Talked about the numbers, the color, the shape, the letter. But what's all this? That's new. We haven't had that up there before. Let's take a peek at that together. This is a long word, and it doesn't start with a B. This is something different. Let's look at the word again. It's September. Hey, there's a B in there. September. That's the name of the month that we are in right now. Can you clap your hands for each part of that word? Ready? September. When you break a word down into parts like that, it's called syllables. That's a big word, syllables. Let's clap one more time. September. How many claps were there? September. 3 claps because there are 3 syllables in the word September. Now, we are in the month of September, but inside each month, we have weeks. And each week is made up of days. Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? So we have a month, and then we have weeks, and then we have days. So let's see what day we are on today. Do you know how many days there are in a week? There are 7 days, there are 7 days, there are 7 days in a week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are the 7 days in a week. Today is the day called Monday. This says today is Monday. Yesterday was Sunday. Tomorrow will be Tuesday. So what happens is the week starts on the day of Sunday. And we go from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are the 7 days we talked about. What happens when they're all done? We go back to the beginning. We start with Sunday again. Go through the whole week, and then we start again. So we had our month. That was broken down into weeks, and each week is broken down into days, 7 of them. Each day has to have a number so we know where we're at. Today, the number is 21. That means we're getting close to the end of the month of September already. This says 21. So today is Monday, September 21st is how we say that. Today is Monday, September 21st. Okay, now there's one more word up there. Do you see this word over here? That says fall. And it doesn't mean like fall down. There are another part of our year called seasons. And this week is really exciting because we're changing seasons. It doesn't happen very often. There's only 4 of them in the whole year. And this week we get to change from one season to the next. Let's take a second to look at our seasons. Here we go. Let's see what they are. Okay, there are 4 of them. So I have 4 words in here. A little crooked, sorry about that. We start off each year with the season of winter. And you can see a snowflake by that. I wonder if there's a reason for that. Let me turn this so you can see a little bit better. After winter, we move into a season called spring. Look at the pretty flower in spring. Then we go on to summer. See the sun shining. And then there's fall. A lot of leaves in fall. So what happens with each season is we have different types of weather. And you can see that by the pictures I've drawn. Winter is usually very cold. And we put on our sweaters and our winter jackets, mittens and hats and scarves when we go outside. And then the temperatures start to get a little warmer. It gets a little bit nicer outside. And we have the season of spring. But guess what? It keeps getting warmer. It gets hotter. We have the season of summer. And then the season starts to change again. And the weather cools down a little bit. And it becomes fall. I have some pictures that I want to show you. Let's see if you can guess what season these different pictures belong in. Let's start with this one. I have a snowman. Did you build a lot of snowmen recently when the weather was hot and maybe you were doing some swimming? No, we don't have snow and when it's hot, do we? That happens in the winter time. We get snow. The weather is cold and we get a lot of snow, so we can build snowmen in the winter time. Let's see. Oh, this one can be kind of tricky because we use this in a lot of seasons, but we typically think of rain happening in the springtime. In the wintertime, it's very cold outside, so any water droplets that fall from the sky, they're going to be in the form of snow or ice. In the spring, it gets a little warmer, so we have rain, and that's when we use our umbrellas a lot. So we'll put that by spring. Let's see. How many of you guys have been busy doing this? The weather has been hot, and when it's hot, we can go swimming in the summertime. That goes right there in summertime. Let's see. Ooh. Anybody get their pumpkin yet? We're all getting so excited that the weather is changing and getting a little cooler and the season of fall is coming. Halloween, that we think of with pumpkins, happens in the fall time. So that's going to go here. And then, when it does rain a lot, it makes the flowers grow. A lot of flowers grow in the spring. So we're going to put that over here in the spring. Oh, back to this. How many of you have a shovel and you help mom and dad shovel when the weather gets cold and the snow starts falling? Are you guys good helpers? I love to hear that. We'll put that by our snowman. Snow happens in the season of winter. I bet a lot of you guys have enjoyed some ice cream this summer. That happens in the summertime. I mean, you can eat ice cream any time of the year, right? But we eat it a lot in the summertime because ice cream is a cold treat on a hot day. It feels so good. One more. What's happening in this picture? Every season has trees. You see them in winter, spring, summer, and fall. But in this picture, you see that the green leaves have changed colors. They're becoming orange and yellow, and they're starting to come off the tree. They're starting to fall off the tree. So I'm going to put that right here in fall. Well, like I said, we are starting the season of fall this week. Another name that you might hear people calling fall is autumn. There's 2 names for the season, autumn or fall. The other day, I took a nice walk. It was a cool day, and I brought a little brown bag with me and a little brown paper bag, and I went on a walk and I collected some fall items. And I want to do a little experiment with you guys. An experiment is where you try something to see what's going to happen. You don't know yet what's going to happen, so you have to try and find out. Before I do an experiment, I like to make predictions. Do you know what that is? A prediction is when you guess what's going to happen. You think, I think this is what's going to happen. Then you do the experiment to see if it really did happen. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to do an experiment together called the sink float experiment. We're going to take the objects that I found when I was out walking, and I'm going to put them in water. And we're going to see if they stay on the top, if they float, or if they go down to the bottom and they sink. So as I show you my different items that I found, I want you to predict. I want you to guess what you think is going to happen. So let's see what I found when I was on my walk. Well, you've already seen this today. I had apple trees by me, and there was a bunch of apples on the ground. Unless you're at an apple orchard, you shouldn't pick them from the trees. You should let things fall to the ground before you take them out in nature. So I had an apple. What's this going to do? Is this going to float on the top or sink to the bottom? What do you think? You think, and we'll check it out in a minute. I also found, I like this. I found a bunch of acorns, but I chose this one because you can see somebody was snacking on this one already. This is an acorn that's already been broken into and somebody started snacking on it. So I brought that home. I liked that. I found a pine cone. I found, oh, let's see if you know what this is. I have a bunch of these by my house too. Same place where I found that apple, I find a bunch of seed pods. There's seeds inside of here. We're going to talk more about that in a few days. I found a little pumpkin. And, oh, these are everywhere, aren't they? I found a leaf. They're starting to fall off of the tree, so I found that. A couple more things I have here. I found a goose feather. I have a lot of geese in my neighborhood, and some of them are starting to leave. They're heading to warmer places to spend the winter time. They start to leave right about now. Some of them kind of come and hang out in my neighborhood in the wintertime. So this is from somebody that was either coming or going. And then also always I find rocks. These are little guys. I don't know if you can see them real well. I find a couple of little rocks. All right, you've seen all my objects. Now think, which one of those things is going to sink and which one of those things is going to float? Let's find out.
Here is our tub of water. You guys have made your predictions about what objects are going to sink and what's going to float. So let's give it a try. We're going to start with our half-eaten acorn here. Let's put him in. He floats. Interesting. All right. How about our pine cone? What did you predict about that? Let's see what it does when we drop it in. We have two floating objects so far. Pumpkin. Now the pumpkin is pretty big and pretty heavy. Did you predict it would sink or float? Let's find out what he does. Everything is floating so far. Nothing has sunk. How about the rocks that I found? What are they going to do? Let's see. The feather wants to come along. Boy, did you see that? The rocks went right down to the bottom. That's interesting. Let's see what our apple does. Just like the pumpkin, it's just kind of floating across the top here. We have two more things. Three more things. Remember, we have our seed pod. Let's see what our seed pod does. And that stays on the top. Our leaf. Put him in an open space there. Floating. Interesting. And finally, our feather. What is our feather going to do? Sink or float? What did you predict? Look at that. The only things that I had from my fall walk that sunk were the rocks. Now, you might think it has to do with how heavy it is, how light it is. It actually has something to do with something called density. That's a new word, isn't it? Density. Density is determined by how close or far apart molecules are inside of the item. Now, molecules are something you're going to learn a lot more about as you get older. But do you remember when we learned about germs and I said you could only see them through a microscope? Molecules are the same thing. Molecules make up a lot, and you can only see them if you look through a microscope because they're that tiny. What objects can you guys find on your walk, and do they sink or do they float? How did you do with your predictions? Were you right?
Well, it was fun doing our first science experiment together. It's fun to make predictions and then check it out and see what's going to happen. Thank you guys for joining me again today, and I can't wait to see you next time. But there's going to be a bit of a surprise next time. When you come back and see me, you're not going to see this behind me because I won't be here. I'm going to be somewhere else. Can you guess where I'm going to be? You have a couple of days to think about it. See if you can guess where I'm going to be. I will see you next time. Bye, boys and girls.